Welcome back, friends, to part 2 of my Laura Ingalls Wilder Mansfield, Missouri trip, and we got to see some historical sites. And the last video I showed you her home that she lived in with her husband Almanzo until their death, and this was an amazing place to visit. It was absolutely surreal, so go watch part 1 if you have not seen that one yet. And also showed you shared a recipe, her gingerbread recipe, and the Airbnb place that we stayed at while we were there, and it was such an amazing place. And this was the same morning here that we went to see the Laura Ingalls Wilder home and museum, and then we also got to go and see the rock house and the museum. So I just made a quick breakfast that morning, which was just some sausage biscuits and some coffee. I couldn't wait to get there, so we just had something very light and quick, and because we knew it was going to be a long day as far as, you know, wanting to start out early. So this was outside on that little porch at the Airbnb. It was such a beautiful morning, and it was actually cool. This was back in March, so it was a nice cool morning. It did warm up during the day, but it was very windy on this particular day. But I just loved that scenery, and as I said, this is in Missouri. This is only 18 minutes from where Laura Ingalls Wilder's home is, and this, you know, like I said, we just kind of enjoyed just that little bit in the morning before we had to go, because we knew we would be gone all day because it was definitely, you know, some sights to see. So here we are. After we saw Laura Ingalls Wilder's home, we started to travel to go see the rock house, which was a quarter of a mile away, and we did decide to walk. And I thought that it would be great to do that, to see all the scenery and everything, where they actually would have walked, you know, between each other's homes. And like I said, you're going to hear the wind in this, and you're going to hear me breathing kind of heavy because this was uphill all the way. I had not realized how much it was going to be to walk this little path. And then my daughter and son-in-law and grandson were trying to catch the train that was passing there, and I just thought it reminded me of the little house scene in the beginning. But I'm just going to kind of let you kind of take in the sight a little bit, but that's the reason I'm kind of breathing a little heavy here, because it was uphill all the way. Feel like that far. It's uphill. And after about a 20-minute walk, you can start to see the image of the rock house sitting down there. Come on. Let's go. Put it down. That's an acorn.
I'm gonna go
Come on.
to the squirrel. I'm gonna go give it to the squirrel.
And this trail closed at 3:30, so instead of trying to rush through seeing this house and everything, my sweet son-in-law went and got his vehicle, so that way we would not have to walk the 20 minutes back and downhill. And these are actually bulbs that Laura planted, so these continue to grow here. And this is the outside of the rock house. As you can see, all of the rocks. This was an amazing sight. So this was, if you go around, you can see the front door of the house and the brick sort of porch area. And so many, the scenery was just beautiful. And the little rock path up to the house. And that ivy that's growing on side of the house also was something that Laura had planted here. So that continues to grow as well. And they just keep, all of that intact. I don't know how, but they do. And I'm just kind of showing you around what the outside looks like and the scenery that's in this area. They picked a perfect spot, absolutely gorgeous spot to build this house. In 1928, after living abroad for several years, Rose Wilder Lane returned to her childhood home on Rocky Ridge Farm. With proceeds from her writings, Rose built her parents a modern house. The keys were presented to Laura and Almanzo at Christmas, and Rose continued to live in the white farmhouse. By 1936, Rose had left Missouri for New York City. Her parents then returned to their original home. This part of the farm was sold. In 1990, the Wilder Association purchased the property. After restoration, the house was dedicated in 1997. Laura and Almanzo kept the rock house as a rental until 1943 when it was sold. When asked why they left the rock house, Laura said very simply, "We were homesick for the old place." While living here in the rock house, Laura Ingalls Wilder started writing the Little House books, which made her famous. With pencil on 5-cent tablets, she completed the following books: Little House in the Big Woods, Farmer Boy, Little House on the Prairie, and On the Banks of Plum Creek. During the same period, Rose Wilder Lane wrote extensively, including her best-known novel, Let the Hurricane Roar. First published as a serial in the Saturday Evening Post in 1932, it became a best-selling book during the Depression years. Rainwater was collected in the large concrete cisterns and sent to the basement to be used as needed. The rock house has a partial basement under the kitchen, dining room, and living room, and the furnace was also located there. And this is a picture of Rose Wilder Lane with their 1923 blue Buick Isabel. Rose taught Laura and Almanzo how to drive. Rose said of Laura about driving that she's learning to drive like anything. Almanzo's transition from horse and team to auto was not without mishap. He was practicing with Rose when he attempted to slow the car down by pulling back on the steering wheel and yelling "whoa," while simultaneously bracing his foot on the accelerator. He eventually became fairly competent driver, and having a car greatly enhanced his and Laura's mobility. And this is the back door to Almanzo's bedroom that we came in. And to the side of that is a little table that had these electrical outlets and switches and things, wires that were originally to the house and that were replaced. This is the window looking out of his bedroom. And right here in this corner is a chair that Almanzo made himself. And across from the window on the opposite wall is Almanzo's closet. And this was their bathroom, all original. This was a very pricey endeavor, so it was very expensive part of the house. All that tile, everything is original, as you can see. It was actually a beautiful bathroom for that time period. And then this is Laura's room, and the bed and the dresser are from the farmhouse that they brought here. And over to the side, you can also see Laura's Singer sewing machine. So all of those were hers, and I just absolutely love that dresser. But like I said, the dresser and the bed were actually from the farmhouse, and they brought it here. This is the closet on her side, very large, So they did have large closets, which was of Rose Wilder Lane's instructions. This is a linen closet in the hallway. I'm looking at it from Almanzo's bedroom door. And to the left was the bathroom and then Laura's room. This is the china cabinet in the dining area that she kept her prized Haviland china in. She loved collecting different pieces of china. So that was one of her favorite things. I was very surprised at all the china she did have. And in the kitchen, this was her electric stove. And this was the first time she cooked on electric stove to cook on. Her farmhouse sink. And I think it was the first time she ever had electricity. So this whole house had electricity. And like I said, the electric stove. She did eventually get an electric stove for the farmhouse as well to use. And then this was just a beautiful window looking out, a beautiful picture, scenery. And she loved collecting Depression glass. So they had this in different, two little cases that they had there in the home. Because some of the pieces now, like I said, the living room furniture was now in the farmhouse. These were some books that Rose Wilder Lane wrote and had published. And these are the 4 books that Laura Ingalls Wilder wrote while living in the Rock House. So these are those classics that we've come to love and adore. They were written here at the age of 65 years old. So never say you're too old to do anything. This is the chandelier that is original to the house as well. And I'm taking this picture in the dining room. And as I'm taking it, you can see the kitchen area as well. So then when you would turn around from here, then you're going to look into the living room. So like I said, all the furniture that was in here is now at the farmhouse. And they moved it back in, moved all of that in when they moved back. This is the original fireplace, the sconces. You can see the bookshelf. These are some vintage antique chairs that she had. So that's why those are there, because like I said, the sofa and everything that was there is in the farmhouse now. And these are the 2 windows looking out. And that table that's in the middle that has their picture on it also has the plans for the house that Rose bought. So this was the Mitchell house. This was a Sears and Roebuck house plan. And this is the floor plan. So you can kind of pause it and see, what the inside of the house, where all the rooms are. So it gives you a better idea of where I'm at in here. And this is a beautiful antique furniture. I absolutely love this. And this is a picture of Rose and Laura at the front door of the Rock House. This is a picture of Laura and Almanzo, in their older years. I love that picture. And this is also in the living room, and this is just a little chair she had there. You can see the sconce and then the cutout in the wall, little shelf. And then this is the front door. There's a closet that's right there as well. This is a little table. As soon as you walk in the front door, you see with their picture. And then it says, "Thank you for visiting Laura Ingalls Wilder's home." So beautiful, beautiful home. This is the museum. This is another museum. This has hundreds of items in it, so I cannot show you every single thing that's in here. We cannot take video, but we could take pictures. So this is when you come into the lobby. This is a case that they had there with just some items in it, little dolls and things. But this was Laura's pencil case that was on her desk. These were pencils she actually used to write those books. So that was just awesome to see. Before you walk into the museum, there's a video that plays, and it kind of just tells about Laura and her life and how she and Almanzo got here. And this right here was very emotional. As Laura said, "Pa's dear old fiddle." The fiddle was probably made in Germany around 1850. Pa played the fiddle until his death in 1902. It was sent to Laura, who in 1944 donated it to the South Dakota State Historical Museum at Pierre in 1962. It was returned to the museum. This, like I said, it was very emotional. Seeing this, I don't know why, but the lady here, when I saw the fiddle, she said it happens to everyone who sees it. And I noticed other people who were coming in as we were looking through the museum had the same reaction. So if you've ever read the books, there's just something about, real life, that this was their entertainment and this was their, Pa's fiddle. And I'm actually emotional about talking about it because I think it reminds me of my dad, because he played the harmonica and the guitar. He loved music, so I think there's just a similarity here. But if you've ever read the books, you know that this was important to them, as it is in my family, for music. This is a picture of Laura's parents, Caroline and Charles Ingalls, affectionately known as Ma and Pa. And this is their marriage certificate, which they were married February 1st, 1860. This has been in pristine condition. Also, a picture of Ma and Pa Ingalls when they were a little bit older. This was Laura's family Bible. And this is Mary, the eldest of the Ingalls girls. And unlike her character that was portrayed in Little House on the Prairie, she did not marry, have children, or become a teacher. But she did attend a blind school for several years, and once she graduated, she went back home to live with her parents. And once they passed away, she went to live with her sister Grace. And after that, she went on to live with her sister Carrie, and that was where she had passed away on October 20th, 1928, at the age of 63. And this was Mary's 9-patch quilt that she made, and this was mentioned in the Little House in the Big Woods. This was Mary's slippers and Mary's Braille tool that she used for writing, and her Braille slate. And this was one of the papers that she actually made with the Braille. This was her gloves, and Mary's gloves. She was very concerned about being properly dressed for church, and she insisted that her gloves be in perfect condition. And this was Mary's diploma from the blind school that she graduated from. And Laura's sister Carrie married a man named David Swansea, and that's a picture of her with her two stepchildren. And he actually had a part in naming Mount Rushmore, and he was given a posthumous award in 1991. This was a letter from Thomas Edison and his assistant to Mr. Swansea discussing a work contract. So, as you know, Edison created, with the light bulb and everything. And this is a picture of Laura's baby sister, Grace. She was born in 1877 in Burr Oak, Iowa. She died in 1941 in Manchester, South Dakota, and she married Nathan W. Dow in 1901, and they did not have any children. And this was a picture of Grace when she was older. And this is a birthday gift in 1895 for Rose that was hand-painted by Grace Ingalls. This was a picture of Grace and Nate on their wedding day. So this picture was taken in her parents' home, so Ma and Pa Ingalls. And it was taken October 16th, 1901, and it was taken right before they got married. And this was the slates that Mary and Laura used when they were young at school. This was Laura's first sampler that she stitched in the Little House in the Big Woods, and a handkerchief that Laura made when she was a child. This was Laura's Bible that she kept on the table next to her favorite rocker, and that's a bookmark that she actually made when she was younger with her name, and she, drew a little duck. So that was kept in her Bible. And this was Laura's glass washboard. And this was a washing stand that she had. This was some of the first furniture that they had when they came to Missouri. This was one of Laura's sewing machines and some of the items that are there. And you could see her glasses in the case right there that she used. And I love this one because I love antiques like this. This was Laura's revolver, and she did use this to obtain small game for food. And this was a quilt that was appliqued by Laura, and you can see how beautiful her needlework is. You can see the details on these, so really beautiful. This was Laura's lap desk that Almanzo made for her. It traveled with them to Missouri, and they also hid a $100 bill in this desk, and that was to help purchase, or what they used to purchase, the Rocky Ridge farm. And these were some of the jewelry pieces that Laura had. Laura made scrapbooks with household tips that she would clip out of magazines and things. And she used unwanted books, and she would paste them into those books to make her scrapbook. And I used to do this when I first got married with recipes, except I used a folder and just glued on to pieces of paper and saved them in a folder. So I would have recipes for magazines that I could go back and make. So that was when I was first married. Now I buy a lot of cookbooks. And these are Almanzo's shoes he actually made because he had a club foot, and he also walked with a limp from diphtheria that he had. So he used his ingenuity and he made his own shoes, and these were some of the tools that he used to do that. And Laura's daughter Rose had several things in here as well. This was her desk and the typewriter that she had typed up her manuscripts for her books. This was a leather dispatch case that she had, and it reminds me a little bit of a book bag that I had back in the 1970s for some reason. But this was her famous leather dispatch bag that she had. This was Eliza Jane's trunk, and she was Almanzo's sister, and she was a teacher. There was an interactive area for children, so they had like a little school desk and these little simulated slates that you could write on, and my grandson loved doing that, so he loved drawing little lines and things on it. So just something for kids to do while they're in there. And this was a sad letter that Carrie wrote to Laura to let her know that Mary had had a second stroke, and that she probably wasn't going to, survive. So I can only imagine getting this letter, when you're so far away. And it's just, she states that she's not suffering, that she's sleeping quietly. And she let Laura know that Mary was thinking about her that morning. And it's amazing that this letter has survived all of these years. So definitely something that was important to her. Almanzo Wilder passed away in 1949, leaving Laura lonely for the loss of her other half. In the 8 years before her own passing, she was able to get off the farm and attend events that were in her honor. And then this little note here in the corner was Mansfield, Missouri, November 19th, 1949, that she wrote to her friend. It says, "Dear friend, this is only a note, for my heart is too sore to write more. Almanzo died October 23rd, and I am very lonely. It was his second heart attack. My plans are very uncertain, and I am so tired, for I nursed Almanzo through a 3-month sickness. Sincerely, Laura Ingalls Wilder." So very sad little note there, but I believe this was given back to the museum from the friend who actually had this in their possession. So like I said, a lot of things in her life. They had good times and bad times, as we all do. Laura Ingalls Wilder passed away February 10th, 1957, but this was a letter that she wrote to Rose, her daughter, July 30th, 1952. I think this was more of her will that she wanted to kind of get down, I guess, to have for her. So it says, Rose, dearest, when you read this, I will be gone, and you will have inherited all I have. Please give to the Laura Ingalls Wilder Library in Mansfield all that is left in my private library after you have taken from it what you want for yourself. This includes the framed testimonials from Chicago, California, and the Pacific Northwest. My jewelry is unique and should not be coarsely scattered. Do with it as you wish, but preserve it in some way if you can. We were proud of my Haviland china, but loved best the English-made blue willow ware. Do as you please with all the china, but I wish you might use it. The persimmon wood chair with the cypress stand table that Manley made belonged to Silas Seal. My love be with you always, Mama Bess, Laura Ingalls Wilder. And there was so much more to see here in this museum, and it was impossible for me to put everything in this video, but I wanted to share just, some of the things I thought were pretty interesting, but there was so much more there to see. And like I said, you definitely, if you're a Laura Ingalls Wilder fan and loved her books and things like that, of the real Laura Ingalls Wilder, then definitely try and plan a trip to come to Mansfield, Missouri, because there's just so much there in this museum that you can see. Just get a feel for her life and what it was like, because they saved everything. I mean, there is so much there. So much history in this one little room. So definitely a place to come and see if you're interested in Laura Ingalls Wilder. And since I am primarily a cooking channel, I did want to share another recipe from the Laura Ingalls Wilder Country Cookbook. In part 1, I shared a recipe that was Laura's famous gingerbread, and it was really delicious. I'm definitely going to be making that one again. But today I decided to make this apple upside down cake. I've always heard of pineapple upside down cake, but I thought this one was one to try. And the reason they bought this farm was so that way they can get out of the other farming that they were doing, the wheat farming and everything, and wanted to plant apples. They were supposedly really good in Missouri, in this area. And Laura did help Almanzo a lot on this farm. She did a lot of manual labor, as he did, and they worked as a team, to get all of those trees and everything in the ground, which took about 7 years, I think, for them to actually produce. But once they did, they had shipments to big cities, and they marketed, those apples around Mansfield. So they did a great deal of business, and they did pretty good, with their orchard. Their farm wasn't just an apple orchard, but also a dairy farm as well. And I wanted to share an apple recipe just to kind of pay tribute to why they moved to Mansfield, Missouri for, a better life, and having this orchard was going to do that. So you need, for this recipe, 3 to 4 apples. You want to, wash them, peel them, and slice them. You need 1 cup of all-purpose flour, 3 eggs, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, and a half a teaspoon of salt, 2 teaspoons of cinnamon, a 1/4 cup of brown sugar. I'm using light brown sugar. I think you can use either. And 2 tablespoons of butter, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, a half a cup of cooking oil. I'm using canola oil for this. But any would work. And it says an 8-inch square cake pan. I have this round pan I'm going to use. It's almost like a 9-inch, so it'll work. But I'm going to go ahead and wash and peel and slice those apples first. So the first thing I'm going to do, once I have that done, just take the brown sugar and add your cinnamon to it. I forgot to show that. Just mix it up with the sugar. And then you want to sprinkle it on the bottom of a either a buttered or sprayed pan, and just kind of, get the bottom covered as much as you can. You don't have to press it down or anything, just to, spread it out. And then I sliced up my apples kind of like this, and I'm going to go ahead and just lay it on top of that sugar mixture. And you can make a nice pattern if you want, because when it comes out, you'll see that. But I just wanted to just get the bottom covered. I didn't think too much in the process of, a design or anything. So I think it maybe would have been better if I would have had a square pan, but, it sort of worked out. So once I had all of those, these were just some extras I had on the side, and those won't go to waste. I'll snack on those. But just take a medium-sized bowl, and you want to add the eggs. And then just take a fork and just, kind of whisk them a little bit. You want to it says till it's a light color. So just beat them until they're, mixed well. Add your baking powder to the flour. And I'm just going to use a fork just to kind of mix it in a little bit, just to make sure it gets incorporated. And then you're going to take the flour and just add it into the eggs. And this is a really, really simple recipe. Then add your salt, the oil, and then add in the vanilla extract. You want to just take a spatula and just mix that up the best you can. You do want a smooth consistency, so it won't take long, but just mix it until you get a smooth consistency. And I'm going to do that off camera. But once you have your mixture mixed, then add the pats of butter. So 2 tablespoons of butter, and I just cut them into little squares and just put them around on top. And as you can see, the batter I got to a smooth consistency. Then just pour it over your apples and the butter, and put it in a 350-degree oven for about 45 minutes. Now mine came out sooner, about 15 minutes sooner. And you don't have to do this. I'm just adding some cinnamon sugar on this. This is going to be the bottom of the cake, but I just felt like it didn't have any sugar in the batter. So I just thought I would, add that on there just to give it a little bit more flavor. But like I said, mine, cooked pretty quickly. And once it's cooled, you're going to take a plate and invert it and turn it upside down. Hence, apple upside down cake. Just like a pineapple upside down cake. I tapped it just a little bit on the bottom just to get it to come loose. And there you go. This is what that apple upside down cake looks like, and it really did turn out good. It was really delicious. Really did enjoy it. Great with a cup of coffee. And it's definitely almost like I want to say sort of a coffee cake in a way. But it was a delicious cake. So so far, what I've made from her cookbook has been good. And this is just what it looks like with the slice cut out. I hope that you enjoyed this part 2 of the Laura Ingalls Wilder sites that we got to see in Mansfield, Missouri. It was a trip that we really did enjoy. And I'm sorry it took so long to get this one out. There was just so many pictures and things, trying to get them into this video. But I hope that you enjoyed it, and I'm going to have part 3. It's going to be Laura, Almanzo's, and Rose's final resting place, where they're, the cemetery that they're at, along with the bust of Laura that was at the little park that they have in town. So, and I'm also going to share more recipes from her cookbook. But I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, and I hope to see you real soon. And I hope everyone has a very blessed day, and I thank y'all so much for watching. God bless y'all.